This is where I get to, this is where I get to say good morning or good afternoon, depending on wherever you are. My name is Ed Puckett. I'm a member of the steering committee, and on behalf of the other members of the steering committee for the project management community group, I'd like to say welcome to the November meeting. So hope your day is going well, and you're in for a treat today. So we are going to move forward. Just some basics, housekeeping, as we say. We want your participation, most definitely, but if you've got a lot of background noise, be sure to manage that. We used to talk about hold music, and that may still be germane if you've getting your audio through the phone system like you've dialed in. So just watch that. Don't put us on hold. Manage your background noise, and that way everyone can participate and hear what's going on. Closed captioning, live transcription is enabled should you need it. And if you've got a question or comment to add, raise your hand or enter it into the chat. I will say that our presenters asked that we hold all questions toward the end so we can get through the content. And so that's what we'll do. Just you can park your questions in there. I'm going to ask that you just put a capital Q so that we can go through and find those questions. And so Q colon or what Q hyphen and then enter your question. I'll make it easier on us. That's a trick I learned in another webinar. So. And a reminder that this session is being recorded, and we will post it out there on the Project Management Community Group's channel at YouTube. So just FYI. So nobody's saying we don't want to monetize our, and certainly no hold music. We don't want to monetize the channel. So, the host, like I say, my name is Ed Puckett. We've got our steering committee members here who do all the yeoman's and lion's share work to prepare for these sessions every month. And so that's going to be Lisa Veloz, Jennifer Birch, Adam Petrea, Carol Killiany, Jennifer Smith, and I hope I haven't forgotten anyone. I think that's everybody. Excellent. I got a thumbs up. Awesome. So the memory's still good. Today's agenda. I'm going to go through the annual conference wrap-up and then a keynote presentation for project intake from a presenter at the new school. So there's that. A sneak peek at our schedule. So just a reminder that our December meeting there is no meeting. So we take a break for the December holiday for the month of December. And with the rest of the schedule there for 2023 is posted. So meeting on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, alternating every month. All righty. This is a good shout out for if you've got a topic or idea to share this, please just post that to the community group, and we can certainly get you set up to do the presentations. A lot of people have this idea that the presentations have to be, conference ready. This is a great place to prepare those presentations, cut your teeth, if you will, or just maybe even could be a short presentation that then has got a lot of room for question and answers, maybe to help you solve a problem. So all of you out there are managing projects or managing things, you've got experiences and things and knowledge that is worth sharing. So don't be shy. The presentations help the community grow and sharing that knowledge. All right, so this is where I'm going to hand it over to, I've already lost track. It's either going to be Lisa or Carol. So any highlights from the conference?
So first off, it was great to see so many familiar faces at our meeting in Denver. Myself, Carol, and Adam were there representing the PMCG, but we got to meet a lot of you and a lot of people. Okay. A lot of people who we recognize from our webinars, but we also got to meet a lot of new people as well. If you didn't get to attend in Denver, we actually did, believe it or not, 4 poster sessions. And believe it or not, we were busy. I think they were 45 minutes apiece. And Carol and Adam can attest, we basically talked for all 45 minutes of every poster session to folks. So we had lots of visitors spreading the word, lots of good conversations. We also had what was called a PMCG meetup, which we really did not know what it was going to be going in. So everybody got an awesome demonstration of project manager flexibility there and us kind of winging it. But it was a great conversation, a very active audience. I think we had 20, maybe 30 people kind of sitting around in a semicircular sort of informal format for that. It was good. And then we had the annual meeting on the Thursday of the conference, and we, again, probably had somewhere between 20 and 30 people attending that. But we were able to break out into 3 groups, and we had conversations about governance, PMO structure, and project management methodologies. So it was, again, really great, lots of chances to connect with people. And that's really what the annual conference was about. So I'm going to turn it over to Carol to talk about some things we took away.
Thanks, Lisa. So with all of the discussions that we had with a variety of people, and hopefully some of you on the call today visited us at Educause, and maybe you're here for the first time, but we do appreciate all the conversations we had with people. One of the things that we did hear from the group, particularly at the annual meeting, is everyone, project managers, like statistics. So quick polls was one of those items that was discussed, like, hey, PMCG, you should do some quick polls. So as you know, the quick poll did go out, and Adam is going to speak to that. It was about certification. Another thing that we talk to people about is volunteering to present at any of our meetings. There were a few people that stopped by, were real excited about the opportunity to talk about what they're doing at their university, or just some of the knowledge that they wanted to share. So a couple of those were just low-tech PM tools, small college panel. Lisa, I think you've got that wrapped up. We had a few people that maybe weren't project managers, but they wanted to talk about AV project management. You know, they weren't necessarily IT software project managers, but they have a different skill set in the AV area. And then, of course, you know, we always let people know that if you do have your PMP and you have something you want to share, it does go towards your continuing professional units that you can claim with PMI. So hopefully we'll be hearing from some of our presenters in the next few weeks that want to participate in one of our meetings. So thank you again for stopping by and chatting with us.
Excellent. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Carol. And do you believe, if my memory serves me well, yes, we're talking about that quick polls. So Adam, I believe you're up.
Yeah, so I'm going to drop in the chat, or I did just drop in the chat, a link to the quick poll that Carol just spoke of. So we had a really good discussion about the types of things that the group wanted to leverage the expertise of the group to get, and some of that was around both certifications and skills. So we have a list. It's a real quick 1-page 3-question survey. It shouldn't take you any more than a minute or so to complete this. So if you haven't had an opportunity to do that, I encourage you to grab that link in the chat and do so. We've had 57 responses so far. And I was going to steal the screen just for a quick second, because what I think we want to be able to do with some of these quick polls, and if anybody on this call has any ideas for future quick polls, let us know. We can put that together and get it passed through Educause really quickly and then promote to the group. And we plan on sharing this information back with this entire group. And I think the reasoning behind this one is, over time, you know, some of those certificates have kind of changed or morphed, and there's kind of a focus in some of those and the skill sets and things like that. So we wanted to send it to the group and see what you all thought were important pieces of that. So let me share my screen really quickly and show you where we're at with those results. And once we have a full result set, we will share it out with the group again. My assumption is you can see a screen here with some numbers on it. So yeah, we've had 57 people. The first question was around the certs and what the team feels is important. I think no surprise right now, we have the PMP leading the pack there, followed by some, well, this is the CAPM here as well, but then Agile pieces here. There's another Agile down below, Scrum cert, and then lastly, the Lean Six Sigma one as well. So again, we plan to share some of this information to see what your colleagues find as being most valuable. We also did the same for skills, hard skills, and then also soft skills. So I think there's not a lot of surprises here. Many of these are considered pretty important. You can see some trends in here, and we're going to ship this out once it's complete. And then least surprising of all is it looks like the most important skill to have as a project manager is communication. So I think that's kind of cool stuff. So again, I wanted to share some of the results of this right now. I'm going to share it out with the group afterwards. But if you all have any ideas for quick polls, just real short couple questions that you'd like to see answered by the broader group that would be helpful for you in your role, or just something that you're curious of, ship it our way and we can pitch that out to the team. So Ed, or at least I'm going to stop share now.
All right, and I will take over share. Hold on, do this again. All right, so now we're looking at the presentation queue here. So coming up next is our keynote. I'm going to introduce Michael Shashaty, our senior project portfolio manager at the New School, giving a presentation on IT project and portfolio management and intake processes. So Michael, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am. Let me go ahead and take over the share here.
Now, if you can, I can also stop sharing.
There we go. You guys can see my big red screen here.
We see it. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. Take it away.
Perfect. Thank you. So hi, everybody. I'm Michael Shashaty. I'm the Senior IT Project Portfolio Manager here for the New School. I'm responsible for management and oversight of the IT project portfolio, the project governance process, prioritization, scheduling, resource planning of a project initiatives. And today I'm here to discuss how we at the New School process and manage new requests. So let me give a quick overview of basically us. So our charge are basically our goals are to align to the institutional objectives and the IT ecosystem, as well as IT and business strategy. We fully work towards understanding stakeholder needs, technical scope, data security and privacy, impacts, effort, and budget, and then provide project and portfolio transparency. So we started off when we were going through our process, trying to review what we had and look forward, started noticing some regular occurring issues while managing projects. Some of these issues were unclear requirements, unclear scope, impacts to other units throughout the institution, as well as a lack of engagement with stakeholders. So in order to mitigate these issues, we've decided to change our approach to reviewing requests. First, what we changed was basically moving the proverbial gate, requiring well-defined business requirements, a high-level scope of work, a resource plan, and finances prior to the acceptance and determination of requests. The second thing we did was build a framework of processes and workflows to produce a measurable result towards achieving project goals. So for the agenda, in the next few slides, I'll be talking through some of the changes that we've implemented for our process, how we prioritize projects, our resource model, and then finally our communication process. So I think the most important thing to start off with is how we define projects. We define projects as a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. We work, the work has defined timeframes with unique outputs delivered at the end of the timeframe. Activity consists of a planning, execution, testing, and transition to readiness phases, as well as work consists of more than one activity, which obviously is in contrast to what we would see typically from a service request or ticket. So the second thing we developed was a 4-phase process for reviewing, documenting, and determining acceptance and scheduling of a project with technical components. We call this process the project governance process. So step one in that request, all project requests, no matter the size, requesting party, current status, are required to submit a request through our IT project request form on our IT website. The goal of this form is to gather a general sense of the proposed project and its needs. This basically helps ascertain who and what the units within IT will be needed to be involved in assisting in what we call a consultation review. So what is a consultation review? A consultation review is basically our most important step in this process. Most requesters are not technical folks who work specifically within their own business. They generally have an idea of what they want, but likely haven't thought, really about anything deeper from the requirements perspective, impacts to other businesses, nor have a clear direction on how they want their needs accomplished. Therefore, once a request is submitted, we assign what we call a project engagement manager or a project engagement manager-like resource, who will partner to flesh out the business requirements and help determine the technical scope. The activities involved in this review include alignment with stakeholder needs, including other impacted businesses, engagement of IT SMEs for technical scope development, business and IT resource identification, including backfill or vendor needs, as well as financial needs or identification. The second step in our process is what I like to call the formal documentation phase. So once the consultation has been reviewed, and the project engagement manager notifies me or really anybody within the PPMO that we're ready to move on to this step, this is where we go and document formally all of the items that were identified earlier in the consultation into a document that we call the project criteria worksheet and the finance worksheet. Oops, sorry. So what is a project criteria worksheet? The project criteria worksheet is an extended business case that formally defines the project scope, its impacts or benefits to the institution, data security and privacy needs, and efforts and financial needs to accomplish the work. This document was developed in inspiration by John Preddy, who's previously from George Mason. I know, John, you're on the call here. So the output of this document is define values for impact and effort, define size of the request, so small, medium, or large, that will be leveraged for the acceptance determination and its path. Identification of a need to perform a data security and privacy assessment by our Information Security and Privacy Office, as well as identification of budgetary needs to perform the work and ongoing post-go live support. So I'm quickly going to switch over to a demo project that I quickly built in this PCW worksheet. Now, really, the way this document is set up is in three major sections. We have our general information section, our impact section, as well as our effort section. Now, the general information section is pretty important just because we're trying to gather at a high level really what the scope of work is for a project. We usually get from the business something around a description of what they're looking for, but this is where the meat and potatoes comes from the project consultation work. Once we gather this information, we'll be able to answer the rest of the document throughout. We ask for things such as who is going to be leading it from the business side? Who are the technical leads for running the project? And I'll give more detail on that in a second. What are their anticipated dates? What is basically the drop dead date? What is the last time they can do it? And if they can't do it by that time, what is the workaround plan for that? These are some of the general questions we ask, including some high-level funding questions, some project classifications, things like that. The second section is more of the impact to the institution or the alignment to the institution's strategic plan. We were able to get a strategic plan from our side, like any institution would typically have, and we worked towards aligning this project to the institution's plan. And having some type of verbiage that writes towards that. This helps with when we're actually reviewing this project request to help determine whether this project is more important than, let's say, the 16 others that are coming in at the same time. Other items that we ask for is this mitigating any risk? Is there any benefits to constituents such as student, staff, faculty? Improvements to customer satisfaction. We want some more quantitative details, as well as if this is eliminating any redundancy or minimizing any time and effort that's currently being used on other business processes. The third section is our effort section. Now, this is really where we get an idea of how much time and effort is going to be put into this project in order to produce the end goal. We gather really from a high level what departments are going to be involved, both from our internal IT side as well as the external business units. This also involves what testing groups are going to be involved, because some projects may have, let's say, a small body of work from an IT perspective, but it has a huge testing need where we're going to have to be testing with 17 other different businesses, which does come down to a lot of coordination and effort. Other items we look at is post-go live operational maintenance. Who's going to be supporting it? Do we have a plan for that? As well as the costs that are associated with that. Along with a couple other smaller items like business process changes, estimated duration, and interfaces and dependencies. The other worksheet that we have here is our project finances worksheet. This is really to help determine what is going to be the cost of this project in order to implement. We capture pretty much pre-go live and post-go live cost, depending on it's coming from needs from a capital operating standpoint. Once we gather all this information, including if we already do have some previous funding, this is now brought to our budget and finance groups who will be reviewing this and determining if this is something that we can move forward with. So that's pretty much our project criteria or our formal documentation phase of work. Once we get all of that identified, we have, sorry, let me go down real quick. Back over here. We have two different numbers. One is the overall impact score. That's 0 out of 105. And the effort score, which is also 0 out of 105. And finally, the project size. So small, medium, or large. So once we get all of that documented, and following the conclusion really of the project initiation phase, the request will go through a review process for acceptance determination. The size of the request will determine which group will review the PCW and determine acceptance. So a small request, since we have such a high rate of submission in small requests, we review this with our IT directors on a weekly basis. Medium and large requests they're basically high impacting, high effort, typically have a financial impact. We have a monthly review board called the IT Project Governance Committee that determines acceptance for these bodies of work. Now, the IT Project Governance Committee is a group that consists of broad representation of university constituents to determine the acceptance of these projects that best serve the university's needs. The IT PPMO chairs this committee and provides a framework for reviewing and determining acceptance. And this really consists of the reviewing of the project portfolios, such as current load, overall portfolio health, having business present their business cases to the committee, providing Q&A time to answer any questions that the committee actually has about the business case, reviewing the project financial needs, and then finally reviewing what we call a 4-quadrant matrix that leverages the effort and impact values that are previously identified in the PCW against other reviewed projects that have gone through this process. So just on this picture on the right-hand side, let's say, for instance, that demo project fell on the project JJ, which is a low effort, low impact. Now, this might be great. Typically, you want to be in this section, which is the low effort, high impact. You want basically to do as minimal work as possible with a huge benefit to the university. Okay, once acceptance is determined for these projects, the next and final step is really determining the project resources and stakeholder availability, as well as identifying when the project work can be slotted into the portfolio. So once agreed with the stakeholders, the project is added to the project portfolio and scheduled to start on the agreed to date. I wanted to switch gears over to project prioritization, which is really key as there's a steady stream of competing demand and limited resources, right? So at the moment, we meet on a quarterly basis with individual business units, executive leadership to determine their priority of their areas. We look to gain the top 3 priorities at the time of the meeting. If there are any new requests that come in from those units looking for elevated priority, we reach out to executive leadership for their input to see what can be dropped down so this new priority can be elevated to the top. In this section, I wanted to cover the various models that we have for resourcing during the governance process, as well as the support for projects. So to start off, we have what we call a two-in-the-box model. So all projects with IT components are run under a partnership model. This model establishes and assigns two core roles, that is the business lead and the IT technical lead to projects. This ensures that there's one single point of coordination and ownership for all businesses and IT activities alike. So just a little bit of a background on this. So we've had issues in the past where some businesses will submit a project and then it changes hands 3 different times. One person's pointing to the other guy saying that they're the lead, so we have this clear identification here to really ensure that there is true ownership of projects when we're moving through them. This will help also manage the testing needs as well, because there will be many groups testing. So at least if we have this business lead, that's the person that's going to really truly be doing the coordination for the testing. So now I just want to cover governance process resourcing. In order to understand the requests, business requirements, scope, effort, impacts, finance needs, require that the involvement and the input for the resources are listed on the slide. So really, all projects need to have a project engagement manager. And this is again, as an IT resource that partners with the requesting business to perform a consultation and assist through the remainder of the project governance process to acceptance determination. We have a project requester. This is the owner of the request. They are assigned a project engagement manager to help define the requirements, and we'll work towards identifying as well as engaging with the other impacted stakeholders to define requested impacts and other requirements. Yes. The IT subject matter experts, or IT SMEs, are IT resources that are assigned as knowledge experts to assist in fleshing out the scope of the requests. And then finally, the impacted stakeholders. Now, these are business or IT units that are identified as being impacted by the request. They are required to provide their input to ensure success in the project and minimize any potential downwind impacts to other unit operations throughout the institution once the project has been implemented. Finally, I wanted to cover the hub and spoke model. Now, when it comes to projects, we need institutional experts, really the SMEs, to help commit time and energy on project bodies of work. However, with the other competing priorities, finding resource availability can be pretty difficult. In the new school, we have implemented this hub and spoke model, which offers temporary relief to some of those SMEs' operational work while they are committed to project-based activities. In order to do this, the stakeholders during the project governance process are asked to identify their resource limitations, which will be part of the project finance request for backfill funding and support. And really, the last section I wanted to cover was the communication section, or our communication model. So the IT PPMO is committed to transparency throughout the governance and process and subsequent project management. We have found the best way to provide the transparency is ongoing communication really throughout the process. So in the next few steps, I'll be showing some of the tools that we use to communicate through the project governance process. So the IT PPMO website, this is really a full overview of the IT PPMO and provides helpful information such as definitions of project for service requests, IT project governance process and committee details, our IT project request form, the project life cycle, project roles and responsibilities. So we try and cover a full stream of detail of what you would typically do or have to work through when you're submitting a project with IT. The other item that we use is really email communication. So at every step of the project governance process, a formal email is sent out to the requester and the business champion. These email templates provide where the request really sits in the process, including a visual of the steps, the next steps, and really a link to our IT PPMO website if there's any future questions. So this pretty much covers my presentation on the IT intake review. As a recap, we've covered how we define projects, our 4-step process or project governance process, correction, the documents and tools that we use to review the requests, how we coordinate project prioritization, our resource model and assignments, and then finally our method for transparency and communication. So I'm now going to open it up for questions if anybody has any.
Yeah, we've got a few, Michael, in
Okay.
the chat. We'll just start at the top, work our way down.
Great.
So question number 1. What are the skills of the project engagement manager? And is this person more like a business analyst?
So it's actually more of a PM. Part of the thing that we look for is having a PM to really just help coordinate all of the work that comes from understanding a request, working with the subject matter experts. If it is a truly assigned project engagement manager instead of in a project engagement manager resource, that person typically ends up PMing the project afterwards. Now, from a project engagement manager resource, we're limited on PM. So what we end up doing is leveraging our technical SMEs, typically they're BAs that will help determine some of this work. They'll try and do the project engagement managing activities up until the acceptance, and then we'll determine who's going to be leading the project from there.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Question from Shiba. What's the difference between the business champion and the business lead? I think that was on your template there.
So the business champion is a project sponsor, effectively. They're the ones that are really truly signing off on the finances. They're the ones, we have a weekly key performance indicator meeting. We ask the business champions to also join that, so they can help steer projects as needed from a strategic standpoint, and really provide the power that is needed to move a lot of these projects forward.
Okay. And then a question from Tatiana. Is this template something other institutions can use and modify to serve their needs? And
Yeah.
Questions are jumping up on me. In other words, can this spreadsheet be shared?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've actually shared it to a couple of people. It's easy to, how do I say this? Wipe it clean. Again, John Petrea is the one that shared it with us. It does have some hidden formulas on the back end, which can be easily unhid, just to give everybody a sense of what the rating matrix is. And yeah, we're happy to share it.
Okay. So what I would suggest on that is when you submit the PowerPoint slide, we also link to that template, and we can also store that in our templates library.
Great.
And also as a resource on the presentation posting in the presentation library, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Question from Roar. Do you have a dedicated software solution to help with project management?
So I see Jennifer smiling right now. We currently have Celoxis. The application is good for reporting, but it hasn't been great for managing, any of the communication or documentation or things like that. Right now, we are really just strictly using it for reporting. We are in the process of implementing, or really purchasing and soon to be implementing, a new solution, and I believe that's Team Dynamics. So the goal is to really get everybody on board with that system, be using it to update all of the projects, communicate through the system, all the documents stored there, finances stored there. We're looking to get it more full-fledged, because right now we are operating in a little bit of a, Google Drive, mail, chat, all the different types of communication tools that are currently out there.
And let me find my place again. Let's see here. Question from Tatiana. What application was used to create these dashboards?
The dashboards, are you talking about? Tatiana, you want to just jump off mute and then I can.
Yeah.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you, Michael. This is eye-opening and really helps me to further develop the process that I started to put together at the City University of New York. And what I meant was the dashboards that you had depicting the quadrant and where the project fell in the quadrant, and then there was something else on the side. I'm sorry, my screen is small and I
let me share. I believe this is what you're talking about here.
Correct.
Okay, so this is through Celoxis. So this is our project portfolio management tool. Now, I will say that I leverage this, but when I am presenting out to our senior leadership and things like that, I use an Excel spreadsheet. I just pull in all that data, and I find that sometimes the tools can better represent the data than Celoxis can.
Understood.
This document right here, and it can also be shared, is a Excel spreadsheet. Now, again, another thing that John Petrea was generous enough to lend us, but it is very helpful. I will say that. Now, the only thing with this one is it cannot be done on Google Sheets. I've tried, so Excel spreadsheet is really the only functional way it works.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Similar question from Yvonne, but on the project intake. So what software are you using to create the project intake form in that governance dashboard?
So I'm assuming you're talking about the project criteria worksheet.
Yeah, Yvonne, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, so that's also an Excel spreadsheet. Or actually, I'm sorry, we've converted that to Google Sheets, but it's all formulaic. So actually, let me, I think it's just a good idea to just show you guys this real quick. Bear with me for 1 second. So hidden on the back end, this sheet is basically set up with item weights, response points, normalized points. So using the demo here, it tells you how much each question is weighted, and you can set those yourself. Other items that are in here are how the questions are basically designed, from all the drop-down options, details on the checkboxes. So it can be fully customized how you choose to. Now, I would recommend, when we first started with this, we left it open form, where we just let anybody put in the information they can, instead of actually doing a drop down with the rating matrix. And what we come to find is that you get a lot of lip service. There's a lot of spinning the wheels, asking all of the, they put in whatever they can to make it sound like a higher project than it is. This is why in our step 2 of our process, we have the formal documentation where the PPMO sits down and works with everybody. We really like to ensure that they're answering the questions according to the way that they were actually questioned. We tend to find also a lot of spinning. So, oh, this project helps by way of something that helps by way of this, by way of this. And it makes all of the projects be huge, because in reality, they're spinning it in such a way that makes it sound like it's bigger than it is. So really the questions are geared to ask directly to the project and how it's impacting the university, instead of doing a downwind impact 30 different ways,
Okay, a couple more questions here. Question from Chris. Who do you go to meet with the executive leaders for their priorities on a quarterly basis? Is it a single person that collects this information, or do you assign liaisons to each group to attend their meetings and bring this information back to IT?
So we meet with basically the what is it, 3 major parties right now, Jen, or 4? It's 1 or 3, or it's 3. Okay. So we meet with the head of HR. If she provides if she looks to bring any constituents in as well, we will bring those in. The head of finance. These are people that typically have, let's say, 5 to 10 projects. So they need to really prioritize their work. Some of the smaller bodies, we don't have these meetings. If it's a one-off from alumni, we are not going to typically have a prioritization meeting, because we're really just trying to get the priorities of the individual units. We are eventually working towards a more holistic approach, basically taking everybody's priorities after they set it from the individual units, showing the overall group, and then trying to get really, okay, this is number 1 priority and needs to start yesterday. So something around here needs to shift down. How are we going to do that negotiation? But we're in the works with that one right now.
Okay. And then related to that, a question says, how is it determined who should be on the IT governance committee?
So Jen, do you want to take that? Because I know you worked hard on that one.
Yes, yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Smith. Michael and I work together at the New School. I oversee the PPMO. The governance committee, we wrote the charge and it was accepted through the IT steering committee, which is a committee that our CIO leads. And we presented our charge there with the intent that this would be a small voting working group. Therefore, we purposefully kept it small, and we kept it with very broad representation. So we worked together with the IT steering committee and ascertained that it really should reference student success, curriculum and planning, employee concerns. That's important for change management and things like that. Business and operations. That's how we get all this great finance input when we're working on developing the finance plan for these projects. etc. So it's a small group. I think we're, oh, and also the staff senate is represented as well. We haven't added the student senate yet. We might end up at some point, trying to keep it small. So we have also representation by IT technical resource, because we need to be ensured that the feasibility of the work meets with our IT roadmap, such as mobile first, cloud first, that sort of thing. So we always have a vote from IT as well, but it's not from the PMO, it's from an IT technical lead. So really, when it comes time to select the actual members, once we identify the overall areas of purview that we were going to include in the committee, then I reach out to the chief or dean of the area, and they're assigned from that individual. We have a primary and a secondary. We always make sure we have a second, because if someone can't come and it's because it's majority vote, we need to make sure we have the right balance. So it's a little challenging sometimes when there's lots of transitions around the university with staffing, but so far I don't think we've ever had to cancel a meeting. We do have in our bylaws, I guess, for lack of a better word, Mike, we'll call it our bylaws, that the PMO can step in if there's if we don't have somebody, if we are missing one vote, then the PMO by default will get to come in and cast a vote.
Okay. Another question, for a medium or large project, what is the overall effort in hours to do the consultation analysis that leads to acceptance?
So the way we look at, and I'll use this as an example again, bear with me. Initially, when we first talked about, prioritization, we did do by hours. We did by hours and time. What we come to find out is really that a lot of people would just try and work around that and shift their timing to make sure the project was small or medium. With this new matrix, it takes into consideration everything here in order to make the determination. So for instance, if let's say, for instance, there's more staff members that's needed, if there's more business process, well, there's already too many business process changes here. If there's more departments involved, if there's more staff members involved, it starts jumping up the sizing of this project. So it's not strictly on a time base. It's going to be on a spanning of multiple different factors.
Yeah, I read this question to be, so what's anticipated to be a medium or large project, what is the hours it takes to do the business analysis / consultation that would then go to the government? Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this, because we've had this question a lot, and it's hard to determine, to be honest. It really depends on how well the scope is understood, or how well the business understands what they're looking for. We have had small projects or even medium and large projects go through quite quickly, all depending on how well they understand what they're looking for from a business requirement side. We've had small projects, medium projects that could take 4 months because they just don't know what they want. It's going to take a lot of time to sit down, work through their business process, work through what they're looking to do. And the other factors that can come into it are, let's say, for instance, the technical scoping. You know, we have to work with vendors to see if this is even a feasible option. We have to work with other IT SMEs for them to dig in and see, you know, if we can make huge changes to data sets within our student information system or things like that. So from an average standpoint, I will say for small projects, we'll go through from anywhere from one sitting, one meeting, to it could possibly be up to 2 to 3 months. But again, it all depends. On a larger project, typically there's a lot more factors involved. So this could take up to 4 to 5 months to really even get the groundwork down, and even longer just to really truly understand what we're asking here.
Okay. And then there's another question, but I believe this one is to just anyone in the group. So Michael, you may be able to take a rest now. The question is, does anyone work with the model of assigning a business PM to a project to handle all the business items such as statements of work, development, UATs, stakeholder communications, etc., and an IT PM to handle only the IT tasks. Compound questions, and that's actually to anyone out there that. And people can chime in, raise their hands. We can try and find you on the participant panel if you want to address that. And there's no hands. Then I'll move on to this other question that just came in. To Michael, how do you justify the number of hours you invest and then the project is not approved? Good question.
So just to clarify, you're asking, we're doing a lot of work effectively right before we even go to an approval process, and how can we justify doing all of that work? That has been
I think that's what Liz is saying. Liz, if that's not true, please feel free to step in and clarify.
Yes, that is correct. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, we've had that question before, especially with our internal teams. To be honest, it needs to be done one way or the other. We've had a lot of issues with projects coming in, not being clear. And what ends up happening is that it turns a small project into a balloon, and that balloon is now a two-year long running project with no clear understanding of what even is the closure, or what is the definition of done, because none of that was originally done. We try and move as quickly as possible, but there's been no way of truly justifying that. Go ahead, Jen, if you have something else.
Yeah, I do. I want to mention that there's a fair amount of rigor to this process. Sometimes we get pushback about that a little bit, about the amount of time it takes to do what we call the sizing effort. However, I don't know if Michael, your earlier dashboard showed this, but we had, say, 35 project requests. But after we finished the consultation phase, maybe only 20 of those actually end up going to governance. And the reason for that is during that consultation phase, it's either determined that it's not feasible, or maybe that there's some other tool that can more easily handle the needed business. Maybe it's a ticket. Maybe when they realize the amount of work that they have on their side, they decide they don't need it after all, or they're going to put it off for another year, whatever it may be. So by the time it gets to governance, it's very rare that it doesn't get approved because all that rigor was front loaded. There have been a few occasions where the finance department or the COO has said, we just don't have the funding right now, and it may be put off to be readdressed in a future date. But by that point, we've had very few that we've just had to say no to.
Yeah, I would add, just from my experience, that the last thing you would want is to not spend that time doing the analysis. Project gets approved and you get through it and you realize after a lot of time that we're going to have to back off of this project. That's like the worst feeling in the world.
Liz, I see you raise your hand again.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on that. I'm wondering if you had any filters when you received the project request in Fresno, for example. If it doesn't meet a certain criteria of a number of fills or strategic alignment or funding, if they answer no to certain questions, we immediately reject the request. And we use Team Dynamics, by the way. So that helps us. So we put the onus on the requester to give us as much information as possible so that we can glean what the strategic objectives are and what the goals and objectives of the project, like what does the end product look like to you? And if they can't describe it, we're not going to do it.
I have to say I do like that. And that's something that we definitely take into consideration when we're going into our own team dynamic setup. But right now, really, when a request comes in, and we review it with the directors on a weekly basis to just get a general sense of if this is something based on their own expertise is, even feasible, right? They know their areas of expertise, so they can provide some of that insight. But yeah, we don't have any filters as it currently stands that says, oh, do you have a clear understanding of what you're looking for? No, then you're rejected until you do, because that would definitely put some more onus on the business side for sure.
All right. Any other questions out there? Well, wow. Awesome presentation. Lots of good questions. So I want to thank you, Michael, for the effort that you put into this presentation and the time you spent presenting it to us. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for having me.
Okay, so I guess I need to get back to sharing the screen because I do have last bit of housekeeping here to address. So let's do this. Let's move my panels over off screen. Here we go. Next meeting, remember, there is no meeting in December. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, January 17th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific. So also don't forget to spend time, visit connect.educause.edu. That is our community site and our wiki site. As a reminder, we have transitioned like 99.9% of the content at this point off the wiki, and we're now completely committed to Connect. So great place to build relationships, look at templates, start conversations, ask questions. Great place to keep the community together. So with that, that wraps up our presentation. So if there's nothing else, including any comments from the steering committee, then I bid you all farewell and have an awesome, what day is today? Awesome Tuesday afternoon. Enjoy. Don't forget to stop recording here.